Hey guys, welcome Musky Road Podcast, episode number 262, I think. I don't know, it's been a lot. We've done these things a lot. You'd think I'd know or be able to count or something, but, well, as you've learned, I don't really sweat the details. And guys, it's the first episode of the new year, so Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully 2023 was a great time for you guys, and you got to maybe catch your biggest fish or accomplish some fishing goals. If not, there's always 2024, and there's always going to be resolutions that we keep. And let's face it, there's some we don't keep. But, yeah, hopefully you guys had a good and happy and safe New Year. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Lax Reproductions, and hopefully you guys were able to get a hold of Mr. Rick Lax this year and get a reproduction of that big fish that you caught and released last year. Check out laxreproductions.com. Go to his website. All you got to do, guys, is take some measurements, get the length, get the girth, and a few good pictures. He'll make you anything you want. Or if you've never caught a 50-incher and you've always wanted one on your wall, just call him. He'll make you one. He don't care. So check out laxreproductions.com and see what he has. And as always, make sure you text us, 606-776-6570. Guys, that's our Lungin Lures text line, makers of the 22 short, 22 long, the big old fat chubby crankbait, the 50 cal, the 22 SS, all kinds of crankbaits, guys. And they also make the Alley Cat series of lures now. They've got the original Alley Cat and the little LP. They've got a ton of stuff, including the spinners, including the original Lungin Tail DC9, DC10, and the Nutbusters. Check them out at lunginlures.com. Guys, on the line right now, we've got a guy that's actually still fishing this first week of January. I'm looking out the window. I'm up here at the northwest angle where the only thing we're doing is drilling holes and serving drinks. And I'm looking at snow. We're supposed to get 3 to 6 inches tonight. And I've got Mr. Chad Harmon from Ohio Muskie, who's been fishing here lately. Chad, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, Greg.
Oh, no problem. So tell me about it. You've been fishing a lot here this winter, huh?
Yeah. So the ice has been holding off, and some of the lakes they didn't lower as much as they usually do. So I've been able to get out and put some fish in the boat, and it seems like real short windows, but we can make it happen. So I may have just did my last one right now, but we will see. It might warm back up.
Yeah, I get that. So let's talk about it. 2023 is in the books. How was it for you?
It was my best year ever for sure, on size and numbers. So I'll definitely take that. So we were able to hit 400 on the nose with our last fish. So that was awesome.
That's a lot of muskies in the boat.
It was, man. Honestly, just truly blessed with it. So it was fun.
So let's talk about it. When in 2023, when did you get started?
I think we started March 15th, and it was right off the rip. I mean, we were smoking them. I think our first day we put 9 or 10 in the boat, and that pattern held all through April, and then it just kind of got back to some normal fishing, and we had some real good days here and there, and it really picked back up this fall into the winter again. So just overall an awesome year.
So you thinking the cooler water is schooling the fish up more for you?
Yeah, so we're just I say this all the time, but we just follow the shad and follow the bait schools, and there's always muskie around them. In reality, it's so simple that people research muskies so much and how their movements, what they're doing, their habits, stuff like that. And in all reality, for Ohio, you just research shad movements. Mm-hmm. Find a shad, find a fish every time. So
and another thing too, I mean, you guys in Ohio, the one thing that I'm pretty sure I know is that you guys are blessed with a great DNR, and people that really care about the fishery, and you guys have a lot of fish, right? Aren't you guys getting stocked fish per acre? Or?
Yeah, we get they're called advanced fingerlings, and I believe they're like 12 to 14 inches, right in that range. we call them silver bullets, I guess. but they do one fish per acre on our 9 project lakes that we have, for them. They do that, stocking every September. And, it had a lot better survival rate with those advanced fingerlings than just the standard fingerlings. So honestly, we're in our golden years of Ohio muskie fishing right now. I truly believe that.
So is that something that you see them continuing, or is that just like something they're trying?
I mean, they've been doing it for like 15 years now, maybe 20 years now with the stocking like that. So, I mean, time will tell. I really can't answer that one, but I know there's going to be some discussions about some different stuff here coming up soon. So, we'll see.
I'm telling you right now, you keep fighting for that, because I've seen these stocked fisheries when they try to alter that, boy, you notice it fast.
Yeah.
It's something that I would definitely keep fighting for if I was you guys, and make sure that these people, that your DNR, and I tell you, you guys, this year with the passing of Elmer Hyab, who was basically, I mean, he was the champion for muskies in Ohio for a lot of years, and
right.
With losing him, I know hopefully the next in line can maybe somewhat fill his shoes. I don't know if you can completely fill his shoes. It was one of those deals that I think that really, really separated you guys and helped you develop this great fishery that you guys have out there.
Right. And I believe it was Elmer and Paul Anderson that developed it's called the Minnow Fund. And it was the general public, your Muskie Inks clubs, Ohio Husky Muskie Club, and all them, they got together and they donate monies to a minnow fund to feed these muskies as they're growing in the hatchery. And that's made a huge difference. And it's not just, feeding the minnows. It's, it might be chemicals or equipment or whatever the state may need to keep the hatchery going, for that. So, Greg Tim, he, is now in Elmer's old position as the head of, the Minnow Fund. So a great guy. A lot of you know him, with, Extreme Muskie Lures. Just the nicest guy you ever meet. Just really passionate about the sport and really, really loves the whole thing.
Okay. Good deal. Well, it should be great, and hopefully we have the Minnow Fund. We'll have that at the Ohio Muskie Show coming up at the end of the month at the Hampton. We always have the big raffle and stuff at the end of the night, and the lure swap that donates money to that. I know they've donated the Mike Money organization. They have donated a lot of money to the Minnow Fund as well. So hopefully that keeps going. I know we're going to have the Ohio Muskie Show at the end of the month, and we'll talk about the good. And they are going to have the lure auction or the lure swap and the auction there. And I don't know, did you attend it? Have you attended that before?
Oh yeah,
Oh my
it was a great time.
It is how the Hampton allows that to go on. I guess it's because we sell the place out every year.
I can't believe they shut down the swimming pool. I mean, I don't get it.
That is, I mean, it is like, to be honest, what I equivalent it to, it's like the bar scene in Star Wars when you walk in there. I mean, you see things of all type and all nature, and, Mark Smith, the Smutley dog, is sitting there giving a seminar on, how to cook brats, and, it is quite the scene in that building. So no, they raise a lot of money though, and it all goes to a great cause and everything. So it's quite the ordeal. But well, let's talk about this fishing that you did last year, and then kind of what you're planning on this year. You're saying it's shad movements, and now and granted, let's talk about too on the Ohio lakes. What is the average size lake that you're fishing there?
Anywhere from like 1,100 acres to like 3,500 acres.
Okay, so decent size.
yeah. Yeah.
Decent sized body of water. And are all these reservoirs, because I know people always are curious about this. I know in Kentucky we only have reservoirs. In Ohio, are they the same way, or are these natural?
I don't believe we have very many natural lakes at all. There might be a few here and there, but nothing that I know of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we have. Are all reservoirs, all built off of, in Kentucky, they're all built off of rivers that had natural populations of muskies in them. And that's how they became musky lakes through the DNR. Now, in your lakes, are you, with these shad and stuff, with the shad movements, are the deeper waters in your lake, are they primarily river basins? I mean, where a river channel runs through?
So yeah, all of them have a river channel that's ran through it. And ours are basically just like flooded valleys. They just dam up the creek or whatnot, or the river or what it once was. And ours is mainly for flood control. So they fluctuate the levels a lot. Yep. So, so everything's really just based off that.
Yeah. Now, how big a water fluctuation do you guys have? I mean, do you guys go up crazy amounts?
No. I mean, I've seen it over maybe one time, 9 or 10 foot, which was almost devastating to the areas around it. But they're able to flush it pretty quick. Yeah, you guys were fishing in parking lots down there before, weren't you?
Several times. Yes, 9 or 10 foot. Jesus, come on. That ain't even a flood. Oh, God. 9 or 10 foot, we just, that's Thursday. Jesus. But but I get it. I mean, places here, Lake of the Woods 2 years ago was up in the summer. It was up 4 feet, and it was almost, considered a national emergency. So, and I get that on some bodies of water in some places. It's just not meant to come up those crazy amounts, and the area can't survive it, and I get all that. So yeah, no, I totally get it. So let's on the shad movements you said. So what are you seeing throughout the year? I mean, what's like a typical year for you, spring to fall, on these shad movements?
Yeah, so you can count on these movements every year. I mean, they go through these stages every time. So during ice off, they're still shallow. I mean, they're still deep. Well, let me start off by our average depth and our deepest parts of our lakes. Our deepest parts are like 38 foot max. So they're not super deep lakes, and like your average in depth is like 20 foot, and it just kind of shallows out on the ends. So, as the ice comes off, they're still in that like 30 foot range, and then they kind of start spreading out as it's warming up a little bit there in that real early spring. Head into a little bit mid depth of water to like the 20-some foot of water, and as it gets into April, May time frame, they're pushing up super shallow. And a lot of that has to do with the shad spawn, which is going to take place basically the whole month of May. So, again, your muskie will push wherever these shad are, so you'll find a big correlation with it. So as they're pushed up shallow that month of May for their spawn, they're in along brush, bushes, weeds, doing their thing. And then as the water starts warming, with the summer and everything, they're all about finding the most comfortable temperature for them, which is, that 70-degree range, 72-degree range. Basically same for us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going to push back out to the main basin where our thermoclines will start setting up, and where that cooler water's at then. So they'll be back deep again during the summer. And as you get into fall, they just basically reverse the cycle, and they run back shallow again. And when the turnover hits, they go super shallow, like 6 inches of water shallow. And that's when you're catching a lot of muskie up super shallow. So lots of people, they talk about turnover like, oh, it's horrible, we're not catching any fish. Well, just go super shallow, you'll be good. That's why those fish, the shad, the bait fish, the muskies, that's where they're at. They're going in there to get out of that stuff. So definitely still catchable. And then it reverses itself again as, the temps start cooling, right when we see about that like 55-degree range, in the shallows, 60-degree range, they start pushing out. And they're heading to the most comfortable water again, which is going to be out deeper. And that's where they're at during the ice, and same thing. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, let's talk about presentations then. I mean, when you're fishing those fish out deeper, I mean, I don't need to know any secrets, but I mean, when you're fishing them out deeper, are you targeting those fish, talk about water columns here. I mean, are those fish deeper, or are they up high? I mean, what are you finding?
Again, it's just a repetitive thing. It's the muskie are the level in the water column wherever the shad are in the level of the water column. So, you hear my dog there?
Mine, I got one bulldog sitting up trying to fall asleep, and I got one that's out on the couch right now. Just, I mean, dead to the world. He's been snoring for about an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. The winter time frame and everything, I find the levels of the shad, where they are at exactly. When I start my morning, I go like on a little cruise about, and I really won't stop and fish until I find those big schools. And when I'm talking big schools, I mean like the size of a football field or two. Mm-hmm. They school up real good, big and thick. And then I see, how deep they are. If they're, within the top part of the water column, on the surface to like 8 foot, I'll throw gliders right over top of them. I don't care if it's 30 foot of water, 6 foot of water, it doesn't matter to me. They'll smoke gliders, just right over top of that shad. And, if they're set up mid-depth, throw some bulldogs, stuff like that. Dying dogs, that pandemic outbreak has just been an absolute, killer this year. I mean, it's like musky crack. Mm-hmm. But, so that's a real universal bait. You can fish all the depths.
Now, what was it again you were fishing?
It's called a pandemic outbreak. It's a musky quality A rig.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So you're basically fishing like a small school, a bait fish, more or less. Mm-hmm. So, now Ohio, we have a 3 hook law. So we run those with 3 hooks on them and have 2 of them with dummies on them with no hooks. Mm-hmm. You can run them with just, 3 wires and 3 hooks on just that, but you really want the extra attraction with your 2 dummies. So, if the shad are deep, we're jigging them. So, it's all the above. But there's times when we get some different types of weather where it pushes everything to the bottom. We have a few lakes where, it's tough some days where you get adverse weather conditions or maybe some bright blue skies or something where the shad are holding tight to that bottom and the muskies are down sitting in the river channels. And it makes it tough. At those points, what I'm looking for is actually crappie structure that's deep, and I'm going to fish where the crappie are, and because those, they hardly ever move, and it's, definitely a forage source for the muskie. So,
so this big, A rig you're talking, Alabama rig, you're talking about there, it's been pretty tough for you though, as far as the, it holds up really well to muskie fishing.
Yeah. So, the one that Pandemic makes, I get about 10 or 12 muskie, per rig on it. And then, you'll lose an arm here and there on it. But, to me, 10 or 12 muskie on a bait, I'm happy with that, it's just part of the wear and tear on baits, but, they've had bass ones on the market. They still have them on the market, but you can use those, but it's a 1 fish bait then. And it's not so much reeling it in, reeling the fish in. It's once it's in the net. It's, they're going to gator roll in it and then wires get twisted and they pop out and everything like that. Well, you had to have something that was all interlinked together with the wires and lead poured around it, stuff like that. So, you wouldn't have those issues with heavier wire as well. So, It's been an absolute game changer since that stuff's come along. Being able to fish the muskies, and who would have thought they would have loved bass baits more than muskie baits? But there you go.
Oh, I tell you. So, all right, I'm looking at them right now. By the way, guys, if you search pandemic, make sure you put baits or muskie on there, because let me tell you, I just went down a rabbit hole, and there's a lot of stuff. So no, well, that's cool. Now, those fish that you're targeting up shallow, how are you going about doing that?
As far as when?
Well, you said you're going, like, so in the spring, that post spawn muskie
Sure.
time and the shad spawn. Do you see the muskies react? Are you noticing the shad spawn right around the time of the post spawn for the muskies?
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly what's going on. So, in all reality, for me in Ohio, those muskies, they're kind of beat up. They've had enough. They're not chasing stuff as much then, from all the exertion they put through the spawn.
They're like the old gal that's smoking a cigarette on the corner. Like, I am done.
Right.
I am done. Whew. God, I'm sweating.
She looks like a glazed donut from every orifice.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly right. So they are tired, they are done, they are beat up, they need ice. So you're saying that how are those fish reacting to lures?
So here's where I'm at with it. So May time frame, it was always a little slow for me. I'm like, you know what? This would be a great time to run some crappie trips. I love crappie fishing. Actually, I'd rather crappie fish than muskie fish any day. So I'm like, I'm going to run some crappie trips during this time frame. And, every day I had a sink of crappie fish. I would have 1 to 3 crappie get ripped off by a muskie. I'm like, there's got to be something to this, So I kind of dug into it a little bit more and tried some different tactics and stuff like that. So those fish that time of year here, they relate so much to those spawning crappie. It's unreal. It's easy meals. And 90% of my fish I'm catching in May are around crappie structure, around, the brush piles and stuff like that crappie hold in. And I keep saying this, but the dying dogs, it's just an unreal bait in that time frame.
Exactly. Folks, write that down.
I don't know who the hell designed that, but
write that down, guys.
But it's really a good time. I throw those, I'll live bait crappie as well. And then you got to watch the state regs on that, because a lot of our lakes, they have a size limit on them. I think it's 8 or 9 inches. It just depends on your lake you're on. And you have to watch your number limit with them too. It's 30 for the state, except a few lakes. And it has to be caught on rod and reel. You can't just go casting that crappie and put them out. So just watch your regs, make sure you're doing it legal. So we'll cast up front, and I'll have a few live crappie out back, and it's on. We put some big fish in the boat then.
Oh, I'm sure. So that has actually turned into a bigger fish time of year for you?
Yeah. So our average size fish is like 43 to 46 then.
Oh, wow. So that's those are the bigger females. They're probably beat up pretty good, aren't they? Like you said,
they are. Yeah. We did get one that held eggs somehow in May, at Salt Fork, and she was just a beast. Just an absolute beast. But she was beat to shit. I don't know what the heck happened, but she still had all right.
She's big boned.
She was big boned.
She was a big bone gal. Well, I guess you'll see that. Our state record before, was it before? Yeah, our previous state record was a fish caught in May. It was a near 44-pound fish, and it had not dropped its eggs.
Yeah.
It was just a big, 53-inch giant girthed fish. And, so I think that happens. It's all a deal that kind of, all seasonal and just kind of the way the fish. I think it's all individual fish based. So I think that's kind of how it goes. But
Yep.
And then what about in the fall when you see those, like the turnover time period is always a time that people seem to struggle with. What do you notice in there?
Yeah, so again, everybody looks at that period as like a dead period, and a lot of your typical spots, they are kind of shot.
Trust me, in my boat, it could be turnover in March, in June. Just depends on how bad a day we're having. I will blame it on turnover. All the goddamn turnover. That's always a good one to lean on. That or they're losing their teeth. That's another one I like to lean on if it's a tough day. So, but talk about your turnover pattern.
Yeah, so number one with the turnovers with the lakes, the whole lake's not going to turn over at the same time. It might be different forks, different ends, certain sections. So there's always a way to get out of it. But the primary way I found of it is going super shallow. A lot of times I'll have my boat in 2 foot of water, 1 foot of water, skin and bottom, and I'm throwing big 10s up shallow, suics, anything that I can draw attention with, ripping it through some weeds, through some shallow flats like that. And I'll tell you what, a really killer bait for me this year was, what the heck's the name of it? The Angry Dragons. I absolutely slayed them on Angry Dragons, this fall. So,
now
I know it's kind of,
and that for the most part, now is that a single hook bait?
No. It's a treble hook bait.
Treble hook. Okay.
I run the minis with it.
Okay.
So it's been a really, really good bait for me this fall.
High
and actually,
vibration.
September too. Yeah. And that's the big key in fall is movement of water, vibration. Other than the suics, I mean, I don't know why they like those then, but they love them then. So that's your favorite bait, right?
I love a good suic. I love a good suic. What? So those right there, you're dealing with, because it's basically an Angry Dragon. It's just a super beefed up chatterbait style lure that just really thumps. And you think that extra high vibration is something that those fish really look for?
Yeah, absolutely. They're tight to stuff when they're up shallow. So you need something to draw them out of that tight cover. Okay. They're not going to move in there too much unless there's something to pull them out of it. And the reason why I say that is these fish, there's a lot of easy meal opportunities for them then, because there's a ton of fish up shallow then. Anything from the saw guy moving shallow then, bass, the shad, all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff that they can just sit there and come out when they want and eat. So you want some big vibration, pull them out, and they're ready to roll. So it's definitely an awesome time of year.
All right. What, now have you tried those in the spring, or, I mean, is that something that just doesn't seem to be, they don't want that harder click in the spring? They're more subtle, or?
Springtime a lot. I run, if I'm running blades or anything like that, I run like smaller ones, like 6s and 8s. And not when I'm talking spring, I'm talking, May to June and stuff like that, or early June, when we're just getting those weeds up and, we got extra oxygen in the water around those weeds. The fish definitely use them. So, but yeah, as far as blades go, I don't see that extra vibration makes that big of a difference for me, at least.
Okay. It's more of a fall thing, what you're finding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then let's transition here. You're transitioning into winter, so you're getting those fish that are coming out of the shallows, and I'm sure they don't go from like shallow to deep just right away.
Nope. And that's a tough time frame, actually.
Yeah, I think it happens everywhere. You get those migrations of where the fish are kind of scattered. You get those scattered times, and I've seen that on every body of water I've fished. When you get something that sets up, a water temperature, a movement that sets up, and you get fish that really pack into areas. It's a lot nicer on fishing guides. But it's during that transition periods of where where they're traveling, because I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, because, these fish, they don't move in herds, a lot of times. I mean, they're transitioning, some will go first, you'll get a little migration, then you'll get a little more, and then all of a sudden, you get the majority. And it's as a fisherman, you're always looking for where the majority are. And,
right.
When you start getting those migrations like that, or as I say, the fish scattered, that can be a little tougher. I mean, you can have some great days, but then you're also going to have some terrible days.
Yeah, and that's where we're working multiple patterns in the same day. You might be casting dogs out deep off breaks and stuff like that. And then, if that's not going, then you're going to go check your super shallow spots again, because there's definitely fish in both areas and in between. So it's covering a lot of water then.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. And that pattern, yeah, it can just be it can be a tough one, and and it's not like it happens every year at the same time either. A lot of it's based on water temperature and kind of how the days have been and all of that, so you can't really plan on it. But let's move into like your winter stuff now, like the stuff you're doing now when the fish have set up. These, a majority of the fish. Now, of course, there's always a few fish that are up shallow because they just don't want to leave there. But your majority of fish are out in the deeper water. What are you looking to do this time of year?
Yeah, well, let me do a little pattern in between that first.
Sure.
So, what I find a lot is around that 1st of November is there's a lot of fish that set up on main lake laydowns, and they use the crap out of them. And it's a brief window with it, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, where they're going to be set up on those pretty stinking heavy. And it seems like when they start lowering the water, then they're starting to pull off of them. And a lot of that has to do with it's just starting to get too shallow for them to use that. But it can be a very, very phenomenal bite that holds fish of all sizes on that. And then everything's pushing to the main basin. And we're doing the shad school bites and everything. And it could be anywhere. You have to go into winter fishing with a very open mind, on how you're going to fish that day. You have to have your trolling gear ready. You have to have your casting gear ready, deep stuff ready, shallow stuff ready, as far as where you're working at in the water column. Because sometimes those fish on those shad schools, they just got an attitude problem. They're full and they're not going to eat that day.
Sure.
But that's where the majority of fish are. Well, when they're not doing that and they're not eating, you have to go find active fish. So basically the ones around those schools, they already ate at the buffet. They're done. Mm-hmm. So that's when I'm looking for stragglers. And the best way to get stragglers is to cover water and troll. So, that's when my trolling is going to take place, is when the schools are off, not hitting well, just covering water, doing lots of, reconnaissance, more or less, trying to get stuff to go on other patterns with that. But 90% of the time, there's fish around those schools that are going to eat. And what I see as people's biggest mistake with fishing shad schools and everything, they find one the size of a football field, and their first thought is, all right, we found the shad, let's get right in the middle of them. Well, that's the worst mistake you can make. Mm-hmm. Is you have so much going on around you, as far as, millions of shad, that it's almost hard to differentiate your bait from all the shad that are around it.
Sure.
So the best piece of advice I can tell somebody that fishes this time of year is you need to fish the edges of the school and not just the centers. But that being said, you have your bigger fish that actually sit in the shad schools and more or less just babysit them. Mm-hmm. And when they're hungry, they just go up and eat, or just turn to the left or to the right and eat. I don't know why the shad don't run from a lot of those fish, but they just kind of sit in there, and when they're hungry, they eat. So we caught some really, really big fish, during the winter time periods. And I would say 90% of the very big fish came out of the shad schools unexpectedly, just making a cast into them, and just hit it. So, it's almost a double-edged sword, as far as that goes, but the big majority of your feeding fish are on the edges, moving in and out of that school.
Sure.
They're more or less hunting. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when like for a shad school, the one thing that I've definitely noticed in my own fishing of the stuff, especially on side scan for people that that use side scan a lot, they are fish that are the schools that look broken up are definitely better than the ones that are just solid.
Hands down. Yep.
Yeah, because that means something is breaking that shad up. When you start seeing small pods versus a real giant pod, to me that screams active fish. And I didn't know is that something you've noticed too?
Yeah. And you can be on a giant pod and be on the edge of it, and on your side scan 2D live, however you want to use your electronics, there's a big muskie up everywhere then, and that shad school disperses, gone. It's tough to get back on that same school again. That's how a lot of them get broke up, and a window is usually right in there correlating with that, a feeding window. You can almost expect to get bit whenever you see that shad school start dispersing.
Yep. Something's definitely chasing it. Something's definitely making those shad move around. So
yeah, and sometimes it's just saw guy or walleye, but it happens, and you'll get some monster saw guys and walleyes now too.
Yeah, we see it with white bass.
Yeah.
The white bass get in there, and all of a sudden you get a 2-pound white bass hitting a 10-inch jake.
Right.
You'll get that. Now, one thing too, do you guys deal with a lot of dirty water?
Some of our lakes can get a lot dirtier than the others. And what I can say about that, I'll give an example. West Branch, it's a dirty water lake. It gets dirty super easy. The biggest thing I say about that is don't be afraid to fish chocolate milk. There's a couple variables you need to think about when you're doing that, though. Number one, you need to upsize your bait. And number two, you need to get rid of an erratic bait. You want something that has more of a tighter wobble that's easier for those fish to target with less visibility. So definitely have them.
Do you find, now then this is just me, I find that dirty water is way better for trolling. I do way better in dirty water trolling than I do casting. What do you think?
It can be up in the air on time of year with that for me. But I've done very well on suics, casting suics in dirty water. And I'm just doing a slow pull and let that rise up slow. Pull it again, let it rise up slow. But, yes, absolutely, trolling is a killer in dirty water, and especially because you can up your bait size so easy with crankbaits and just cover tons of water with it, absolutely.
I always look at it as, it's a consistent action down there running at a consistent depth, at a consistent speed. And I think all of that coming together, it's way easier for a fish to target that. With casting, you're pulling the bait out of the water when you go to make the next cast. And I've just always found that trolling in dirty water is a little bit better. But I do agree that, a bait that doesn't I think dirty water is more of a mind thing than it is a fish thing.
Absolutely.
Because, I'm sure you get dirty water. We get really dirty water, and I know you guys do too. That is like, people are like, my rod is muddy at the end of the day. We deal with that, especially after the spring rains and stuff. I've never fished the Ohio lakes, but I'm assuming it's the same deal.
Yeah, it can be pretty wicked sometimes. And actually, just the other day, we had some real dirty water, but guess where all the shad were? Yep. Right in the muck. But that's the thing. That silt that's floating around is going to hold the heat longer in the water. And the bait fish are going to find the most comfortable area, and that's where it was. So I ran into this yesterday on the lake. That's where the majority of the shad were, and fished those shad for quite a bit. There was a ton of muskie around them, an absolute ton of muskie around them. I think at one point within 5 minutes, we marked almost 16 muskie.
Wow.
I mean, it was unreal, to be honest with you. But they wouldn't go. Absolutely wouldn't go. And whether that was the muddy water or whether that was their full, I don't know. But that's when we had to resort to trolling, and that's what we did, and we ended up picking one up. So it was a tough day, but we were able to grind one out by just covering water.
What kind of water temps? I mean, you got to be right around freezing right now, right?
So we just hit 37 yesterday.
Oh, so that's
water
not
temps.
terrible.
No, but that's when we start seeing our skim ice, and that can happen overnight with anything from like 36, 37 degrees. A lot of our launches are in the backs of bays. I mean,
Sure.
you can bust through a lot of it to get out, But yeah, that's when we start seeing it. But right before that ice happens, that can be one of the best times of year to catch an absolute giant. It just seems like those big fish. I don't know how they know, but those couple of days before ice up, I mean, it's on. I mean, some giants.
Sure. And those are fish you're finding in the open water?
Yep.
Yeah,
So.
finding out deeper. Well, I tell you, it's got to be a cool pattern and a cool thing to see. What you got any resolutions? Something you're wanting to do this year in 2024?
Eat less Little Debbie's.
Oh, Little Debbie is not. If she ate her own food, she's not little. That's what I tell.
Big Deborah.
That's what I tell everybody. What about fishing wise? What's the goals? Do you have anything you're wanting to try? Something different or anything?
No, not really, to be honest with you. I just, I hope we have as good a year this year as we did last year. And, no, I mean, I had awesome clients this year, so I can't complain. I mean, I'm a happy man, so we're just going to do our best this year and see what happens.
All right. Well, now you're going to be at the Ohio Muskie Show at the end of the month. I think you're going to be doing a talk for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a question or
No. No. I'm asking the question.
I'm
You
like, am
answer
I?
the question.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk about how not to catch a muskie.
Nice.
I'm
Nice.
serious. So that's going to be my topic. So I know it sounds strange coming out of the mouth like that, but I'm going to talk about people's biggest mistakes.
Okay.
What I see as a guide on the water, and correcting people on how they're fishing. And I'm sure I'm going to get people like, oh, well, that's what I do. He's wrong. But, it's just the stuff I see on what triggers fish and what doesn't. You can almost write a book on the stuff of what not to do. And that's the way we learned is messing stuff up. And to get the right reaction to the fish, that's, you almost have to just mess a ton of stuff up.
Yeah.
And once you figure it out, it's something I want to pass on the others, and, maybe this will help you. So, my mess ups are hopefully you're good to goes. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I really want to talk about. So.
Okay. Well, that seems like a pretty cool deal. And we got the Ohio Muskie Show going on here at the end of the month in Hilliard, Ohio at the McCoy Center like we do every year. Guys, if you want to come and listen to Chad, we've got a lot of unique baits there that you're not going to find at other muskie shows. That would be a good deal. It'd be nice to get Pandemic in there. If you'd ever want to come to a show, I'd love to talk to him.
I think he's going to be there, isn't he?
Oh, is he coming? Great.
Yeah, I think you guys have him set up next to me out there.
Oh, good deal. Because I know
supposedly he paid you money. I don't know.
Oh my God, we'll see. Tony handles that. I got to call him and find out who we got. But that'll be a good deal. I might have to pick up some of those outbreaks like you're talking about. And
yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
And see how it happens. So, all right, bud. Well, hey, we had a great talk. I'm glad you were able to come on here. And anything you'd like to promote?
I just always want to thank my sponsors and everything. That's and I'm sure I'm going to forget some here. So, Ball Shad, they've been with me since day one. RNC Tough Rods, Lunging Lures. Brady Marks, what makes the bow fins with the Bam Bam baits. Penn, Fenwick, Pure Fishing, all that stuff. So I really appreciate all you guys, and Pandemic as well. So thank you for everything you've done for me. You guys really gave me a platform to give people good products, and just thanks guys. And I appreciate all my clients and you guys and stuff. So thank you very much. So.
All right. Well, good deal. And guys, make sure you remember the Ohio Muskie Show coming up at the end of the month. We're going to put some Muskie Road Rule clinics together as well. We're working on that. And, we're trying to keep it all going. So, Chad, thank you. And we'll see you at the end of the month, buddy.
Hey, sounds good. Take care, buddy.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.